Every dream begins with a whisper. At first it feels fragile, almost too small to matter. A vision that flickers in your imagination, often dismissed as impossible before it ever has the chance to breathe. That is where greatness begins, not with certainty, not with proof, but with a fragile spark. The question is not whether the dream is real. The question is whether you will push yourself to chase it, to fight for it, to build it into something the world can no longer ignore. Most people let their whispers die in silence. They bury them under fear, under doubt, under excuses that sound reasonable but are nothing more than chains. And yet, history is written by those who refused to stay chained, by those who heard that faint whisper and decided to push until it roared. Nothing changes until you make the decision to push. The world does not move for hesitation. It does not reward waiting. It does not bend to those who stand still. It bends to those who lean forward when everyone else leans back. It opens doors to those who keep knocking after others have walked away. The truth is, possibility is always present, but it hides behind layers of fear, resistance, and laziness. Most stop at the first sign of resistance, believing that the challenge is a message to quit, but the real message is this: push harder. Every barrier you face is proof that you are on the edge of growth. If it were easy, if it came without struggle, then it would not be worth having. Think about it. What feels impossible right now? What vision makes your chest tighten with both desire and fear? That is the signal. That is the direction where your energy should flow. When you push into that discomfort, something extraordinary begins to happen. Your mind, which once told you to stop, learns to adapt. Your body, which once felt weak, discovers strength. Your spirit, which once whispered doubt, begins to shout courage, and with each push, the impossible loses its weight. Slowly, steadily, the dream that once felt like a distant fantasy becomes a living reality. But you must understand this. No one can push for you. The world will not hand you motivation on a silver platter. Encouragement may come, but it fades quickly. Applause may lift you, but it does not last. The only force that can carry you through the storms, the nights of loneliness, the days of struggle, is the decision you make to push when everything inside you begs to quit. This is the dividing line between the ordinary and the extraordinary. Not intelligence, not luck, not even talent, but the willingness to push beyond the moment of weakness again and again. So when that whisper comes, when the dream flickers in your mind, do not dismiss it. Do not let it fade into nothing. Grab it, protect it, push yourself to breathe life into it, even when others laugh, even when the world calls it impossible. Because impossibility is not a wall, it is an illusion, and every illusion collapses under the weight of persistence. Push long enough, hard enough, and everything that once looked unreachable will fall into your hands. The whisper will become a reality, the vision will become a fact, and you will stand as living proof that the impossible was nothing more than an invitation to push. Limits exist only in the mind, but the mind is a powerful builder of walls. It takes your fears, your doubts, and your past failures and stacks them high, until you begin to believe there is no way forward. You convince yourself that the door is locked, that you are too weak to turn the handle, too unworthy to step through. But these walls are illusions, painted by hesitation and reinforced by every excuse you allow to stand. When you stop pushing, when you give in to that illusion, those limits solidify into prisons. They steal your potential and chain your life to the ordinary. Yet when you push, something extraordinary happens. The walls begin to crack. What once felt like an impenetrable ceiling reveals itself to be a thin layer of glass. Each effort you make, each step you take forward despite fear, begins to weaken the illusion until it breaks completely. Every impossible is nothing more than an unopened door, but the handle will not turn for those who only stare at it. It opens for persistence, for the hand that keeps reaching even when the door resists. Think of the moments you told yourself you could not, and then pushed a little further. Suddenly you could. That is not coincidence. That is the hidden truth about limits. They bend, they shift, they collapse under the weight of determination. The mind that once declared impossible begins to whisper maybe, and eventually it admits possible, but it only happens when you refuse to settle. The tragedy is that most people never test the strength of their barriers. They meet the first sign of resistance and turn away, convinced that the wall is eternal. They never realize that persistence wears down resistance. What feels like stone is often nothing more than paper painted to look like steel. The ones who succeed are not necessarily the strongest, the smartest, or the most gifted. They are the ones who kept pushing long enough to discover that the door was never truly locked. Understand this clearly. The weight of limits is only as heavy as your willingness to carry them. Refuse to lift them, and they will suffocate you. Push against them, and they will crumble. The moment you recognize that limits exist only in the mind, you reclaim your power. You understand that everything labeled impossible is an opportunity disguised as resistance, and once you see this truth, nothing can stop you. The walls fall, the doors open, and your life expands beyond what you once believed was possible. Discipline is the engine of possibility, and without it, dreams remain nothing more than scattered wishes. Desire burns hot for a moment, but it burns out quickly if it is not fed with consistent effort. Passion alone will not carry you through the days when you are tired, unmotivated, or surrounded by doubt. It is discipline that keeps you moving forward when excitement disappears. It is the decision to act not just when you feel like it, but especially when you do not. Talent is overrated without the foundation of discipline. Many people with extraordinary gifts never accomplish much because they lack the habit of persistence. On the other hand, ordinary people who cultivate discipline rise to extraordinary heights, because discipline turns small daily steps into unstoppable momentum. The mind naturally resists effort. It wants comfort, it craves ease, it avoids struggle. Left unchecked, it will talk you out of every opportunity for growth. But once trained, the mind becomes a weapon sharper than any blade. It learns to obey. It learns to push forward even when the body is tired and the emotions are heavy. Discipline is that training. It is the repeated act of saying yes to your higher vision and no to your temporary weakness. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, you carve a deeper pathway in your mind that makes strength your natural response instead of quitting. Think of discipline as a bridge. On one side is where you are now, with your doubts, your struggles, and your unrealized potential. On the other side is the life you want to live, the version of yourself you dream of becoming. That bridge is not built in a day. It is built brick by brick, choice by choice, through the simple but powerful act of showing up. Show up when it is hard. Show up when no one notices. Show up when everything in you wants to stop. Every day you show up, another piece of the bridge is built, and one day you will find yourself standing on the other side, transformed by your own persistence. Understand this truth. Success has never been about bursts of effort, sudden genius, or rare opportunities. It has always been about the relentless force of discipline. When you push yourself to stay consistent, when you build the habit of effort, you take control of your destiny. You prove to yourself that you do not need motivation to act. You need only the decision to remain disciplined. And once you master that, there is no limit to what becomes possible, because discipline makes the impossible bow to persistence. Pain is the language of growth, yet most people treat it as an enemy. They run from it, they curse it, they believe it exists to punish them. But pain is not there to stop you, it is there to shape you. It tests your will, it reveals your limits, and it demands that you rise above them. Every time you encounter pain and endure it, you are being carved into something stronger, sharper, and more capable. Growth never comes wrapped in comfort. Comfort protects you, but it also keeps you weak. Pain, on the other hand, breaks you open, forces you to confront your weaknesses, and demands that you either collapse or rise. Those who learn to carry pain without running from it discover a truth that changes everything. Pain is not the end of progress, it is the beginning of transformation. Each struggle you face writes a new line in the story of who you are becoming. It may feel heavy while you carry it, but it is building muscles you cannot see. The body does not grow without resistance. The mind does not sharpen without challenge. The spirit does not deepen without adversity. Pain is the forge, and you are the iron. With every blow, with every flame, you are being shaped into something unbreakable. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not the absence of pain, but the response to it. The weak surrender when it hurts, but the strong recognize that hurt as proof they are alive, proof they are growing, proof they are moving forward into a higher version of themselves. The mind often screams when you step into difficulty. It tells you to stop, to turn back, to protect yourself from discomfort. But discomfort is the price of evolution. If you obey that voice, you remain trapped in the same patterns, the same small circle of possibilities. If you push through it, something shifts, your threshold for struggle expands. What once broke you becomes easy. What once terrified you becomes familiar. What once seemed impossible becomes routine. Pain loses its power to scare you because you have transformed it into fuel. Instead of running from it, you begin to chase it, because you understand that every new level of pain is proof that you are on the edge of greater power. Understand this deeply. Those who rise highest are not those who escape pain, but those who embrace it. Pain is not punishment, it is preparation. It is preparing you to carry more, to withstand more, to achieve more. Every trial, every setback, every wound is molding you into a warrior capable of walking through storms that would have destroyed the weaker version of you. Do not despise your pain, do not run from it. Learn from it, use it, transform it. Because the day will come when you will look back and realize that the very moments that hurt the most were the ones that built the strength you needed to make the impossible possible. Greatness is never the result of one sudden act of brilliance. It is the product of countless repetitions, small pushes carried out day after day until they form a foundation that cannot be shaken. Every push, no matter how insignificant it seems in the moment, compounds into power. The person who lifts a single weight today may feel no change, but the one who lifts consistently will, over time, build unshakable strength. This is the principle of repetition. It is slow, it is demanding, but it is also unstoppable. If you push yourself to repeat effort with discipline, the impossible begins to bend. It is not grand gestures that create transformation, but the relentless practice of small actions that, when compounded, create something extraordinary. The mind is a creature of habit. It believes what it experiences often, and it conforms to whatever is repeated. If you repeat excuses, you train it to expect failure. If you repeat procrastination, you condition it to settle for mediocrity. But if you repeat discipline, courage, and persistence, your mind learns to obey greatness. Over time, the actions that once felt impossible become second nature. The struggle that once demanded everything from you becomes effortless. That is the hidden power of repetition. It rewrites your identity, not in a single moment, but in the quiet, invisible shaping of daily choices. Repetition builds mastery. The one who repeats their craft, their focus, their discipline, eventually becomes unstoppable because they have moved past the stage of effort into the stage of instinct. They no longer debate whether to act. They no longer waste time on hesitation. Their mind, sharpened by repetition, responds automatically to challenge with strength. That is how impossible tasks are conquered, not by dramatic bursts of energy, but by daily commitment. Every push forward, every repeated effort, is like water against stone. Alone, one drop seems weak. But repeated endlessly, it carves valleys, moves mountains, and shapes the world itself. Understand this, the repetition of effort is not glamorous. It does not receive applause in the moment. It feels ordinary, repetitive, sometimes dull, but it is in that quiet space of repetition where greatness is born. Push yourself to repeat even when results are invisible. Push yourself to practice when no one is watching. Push yourself to take the step today, and again tomorrow, and again the day after, because repetition transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary results. It is the unseen force that takes the impossible and makes it possible, one push at a time. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the world outside, but against the voice within. That voice, soft but relentless, tells you to stop when things get hard. It whispers that you are tired, that you have done enough, that it is safer to step back rather than step forward. This is the voice of mediocrity, the voice that guards the boundary between where you are and where you want to be. It is not loud, but it is persistent. It lives in your doubts, in your fears, and in your excuses. If you listen to it, you will remain where you are. If you silence it, you unlock a new level of possibility. This battle is fought in silence, in the moments when no one is watching. When the alarm goes off and you want to stay in bed, when the work becomes boring and your focus begins to fade, when the effort feels too heavy and you long for relief, these are the arenas where the inner war rages. Most people lose here, not because they lack strength, but because they confuse the voice of comfort with the voice of truth. Comfort tells you to stop, but truth urges you to push. Comfort seeks ease, but truth demands growth. And every time you choose truth over comfort, you weaken the inner enemy that wants to hold you back. The way to win this battle is not with grand speeches to yourself, but with action. The inner voice grows stronger the more you negotiate with it. Every time you argue with your excuses, you give them more life, but the moment you act without delay, without hesitation, you silence them. Action is the sword that cuts through doubt. Push forward despite the noise, and the voice begins to fade. The more you move, the quieter it becomes, until eventually it has no power over you at all. Understand this. The mind is both your greatest enemy and your greatest ally. Left unchecked, it will sabotage you, filling your path with fear and hesitation. But when trained, it becomes your greatest weapon. Train it by pushing through the moments it resists. Train it by choosing persistence over retreat. Train it until that inner voice no longer commands you, but obeys you. When that happens, the impossible begins to tremble, because nothing is more powerful than a mind that has been mastered. And mastery begins the moment you decide that the voice of weakness will not dictate your life. Fear is energy disguised as an enemy, and it visits anyone who dares to dream bigger than their current reality. Most freeze when they feel it. They interpret the racing heart, the trembling hands, the surge of adrenaline as a warning to stop. But fear was never meant to be a wall, it was meant to be fuel. The same energy that makes your palms sweat is the energy that can propel you forward. The only difference lies in how you respond. If you retreat, fear chains you. If you push, fear carries you. The greatest breakthroughs in life always stand on the other side of fear. demanding that you walk through the storm rather than around it. Think of fear as proof that you are moving in the right direction. You do not feel fear when you are stagnant. You do not feel fear when you are comfortable. You feel it when you are stepping into a new level, when you are stretching beyond the limits of your current self. That trembling in your chest is evidence that you are close to growth, that something significant is waiting beyond the discomfort. Most people turn back at this threshold, mistaking fear for danger, but if they only understood that fear is not a stop sign but a signal, they would lean into it instead of running away. The moment you decide to push through fear, something shifts inside you. What once paralyzed you begins to energize you. Your body, instead of retreating, surges with strength. Your mind, instead of closing, opens to new possibilities. Fear loses its grip because you have transformed it from a master into a servant. Every time you face it, every time you refuse to bow to it, you grow stronger. And just like any other force, fear adapts to your courage. The more you confront it, the less power it holds, until one day the very things that once terrified you become the very things that empower you. Understand this truth. Fear is not there to destroy you. It is there to introduce you to the higher version of yourself. It is the fire that burns away weakness, the mirror that reflects where courage must be built. Do not run from it. Do not hide from it, push into it, use the shaking of your hands as a reminder that you are alive, that you are chasing something worthy. Fear will never fully disappear, but once you learn to use it as fuel, it will never again hold you back. Instead, it will propel you toward everything you once thought was impossible. Every obstacle you face is stubborn, and in the moment it feels immovable. But nothing in this world can withstand the relentless force of persistence. The wall does not fall on the first push. The first attempt rarely makes a visible difference, and that is why most people stop. They strike once, see no change, and assume it is impossible. What they do not realize is that every strike weakens the foundation of resistance. Each effort, each push, each step forward chips away at the barrier, even if the eye cannot yet see it. Persistence is invisible progress. It works silently beneath the surface until one day the wall that seemed unshakable crumbles with a final push. Persistence is not about speed. It is not about talent. It is about refusal, refusal to quit, refusal to accept defeat, refusal to let the resistance win. Life will always test you with setbacks, delays, and detours, but persistence transforms setbacks into setups, delays into preparation, and detours into lessons. Every no you encounter is simply another chance to strengthen your resolve. Each rejection is not a dead end but a challenge asking, how badly do you want this? Those who persist answer not with words, but with continued action, and action always breaks resistance. Think of water dripping on stone. 1 drop is nothing, 10 drops are nothing, but 1,000, 10,000, 1,000,000 drops carve valleys and reshape mountains. That is the power of persistence. It does not conquer in one moment of brilliance, but in the steady, relentless act of showing up over and over, long after others have stopped. The impossible begins to shift not because it chooses to, but because it has no choice against a will that refuses to be broken. The resistance may hold for a time, but persistence always outlasts it. Understand this clearly. Persistence is not glamorous. It is often quiet, lonely, and unseen. It demands that you keep moving when progress feels invisible, when results are slow, when your mind tempts you to walk away. But if you hold the line, if you push again and again, resistance eventually surrenders, the wall crumbles, the door opens, the impossible bows, and in that moment you will realize that persistence was never about the wall at all. It was about shaping you into someone powerful enough to break through it. Vision is the seed of possibility, the inner picture of a life that does not yet exist but could. Without vision, effort becomes scattered, directionless, and easily abandoned. But when you see clearly what you are working toward, every push gains meaning. Vision is the fire that lights the path in the darkest seasons. It allows you to keep moving when reality contradicts your desires, because you are not guided by what is, but by what could be. The world calls your dream impossible, but vision trains your eyes to see beyond obstacles, to focus on the reality waiting to be created. Holding vision is not easy. Life will constantly present evidence against it. You will face setbacks that make the dream feel farther away, critics who tell you it cannot be done, and doubts that whisper you are chasing fantasies. In these moments, vision must become your anchor. It is the refusal to let go of the image in your mind, even when everything outside of you suggests defeat. The stronger your vision, the stronger your persistence, because the mind naturally moves toward what it sees most vividly. If your vision is clear enough, your actions will align with I. Transformation is not an event. It is the sum of countless choices made in silence, in private, when no one is watching. It does not happen because of one grand decision, but because of the steady discipline to rewrite who you are, thought by thought, action by action, day after day. This process is invisible to the outside world. People only notice the results later, when you have already become unrecognizable. They call it sudden success, but you know it was years of persistence, of inner battles fought in the dark. Transformation is the art of killing the old self, the weaker version, and allowing the stronger self to rise through relentless practice. At first, transformation feels like destruction. You must let go of patterns that once gave you comfort. You must say goodbye to excuses that shielded you from responsibility. You must burn bridges to habits that waste your time and energy. This stage hurts because it feels like losing a part of yourself, but in reality, you are shedding the layers that kept you small. True growth often feels like breaking, because you are dismantling the identity that has kept you safe but stagnant. The pain of transformation is not punishment, it is preparation for strength. As you push through this discomfort, a new sense of identity begins to take shape. You start thinking differently, speaking differently, carrying yourself differently. The thoughts that once limited you lose their power. The fears that once paralyzed you shrink in comparison to the vision you now hold. This is the stage where you begin to notice momentum. The actions that were once forced now feel natural. What was once discipline becomes identity. You no longer need to convince yourself to act. You simply act because that is who you are. This is the secret of ultimate transformation, becoming the person who naturally attracts the life you want. Success is not something you chase, it is something you align with by reshaping yourself to match it. When your inner world changes, your outer world has no choice but to follow. Opportunities begin to appear, not because they weren't there before, but because you are now able to see them and seize them. You become magnetic, drawing circumstances and people that reflect your new level of strength and clarity. And in this moment, you realize that the ultimate transformation was never about achieving something outside. It was always about becoming someone greater within. If you hold it steady in front of you, vision works as a magnet. It pulls you forward with invisible force, even on days when your body is tired and your spirit feels weak. That is why those who achieve greatness rarely possess the most talent or the most resources. They simply carry the clearest vision and refuse to let go of it. They may stumble, but they never lose sight of the destination. They may fail repeatedly, but they rise again because the image of victory remains alive in their mind. Vision keeps the dream warm in the coldest nights, reminding you why the struggle matters and why the fight is worth continuing. The power of vision lies in its ability to reshape reality long before reality has changed. When you imagine vividly and repeatedly, your subconscious mind begins to accept it as truth. This changes the way you think, the way you act, and the way you respond to setbacks. Instead of interpreting difficulties as signs to quit, you start to view them as stepping stones, as temporary challenges designed to test your worthiness of the goal. Vision becomes a filter, teaching your mind to notice opportunities where others see obstacles, to recognize pathways where others see dead ends. It teaches you to endure pain with patience, because pain is proof that progress is happening, but vision alone is not enough. It must be fed, strengthened, and guarded. Neglect it, and it will fade like a weak flame. Nourish it daily with belief, with repetition, with action, and it will grow into an unshakable force. This is why the greatest achievers spend time every day reminding themselves of where they are going. They speak it, they write it, they reflect on it until it becomes etched into their identity. They defend it against doubt, against negativity, against fear, because they know vision is fragile when left unprotected. The dream you see inside is sacred. It is your responsibility to keep it alive until it breathes in the world outside. And here lies the truth. Everything begins in the invisible. Every achievement that transformed the world was once nothing more than an inner vision. Every invention, every success story, every breakthrough was born inside the mind of someone who dared to believe before there was proof. When you hold a vision long enough, push yourself hard enough, and refuse to release it, the impossible bends to your will. This is why you must not only dream, but protect that dream fiercely. Push yourself until the vision is no longer a thought, but a living reality that no force can deny. Longer blinded by fear or chained by hesitation, this is when true freedom begins to reveal itself, the freedom to act boldly, to live fully, and to express the highest version of yourself without apology. The transformation you once struggled to see becomes undeniable because it radiates from within. You no longer need external validation because your very presence communicates strength, purpose, and clarity. You have become someone who does not wait for change. You are the change, and everything around you adjusts to your energy. Yet the journey does not stop there. Ultimate transformation is not a single peak you climb and rest upon. It is an endless unfolding, a continuous sharpening of your mind, body, and spirit. Each stage of growth reveals a new horizon, a higher level of discipline, a deeper layer of strength. Just when you believe you have reached your fullest self, life will test you again, stretching you to see if you are willing to expand further. This is not cruelty, it is opportunity. Life is constantly asking if you are ready to embody more, to rise higher, to evolve into an even greater force of possibility. The beauty of this process is that what once terrified you now excites you. The challenges that once seemed unbearable now fuel you. What once felt like suffering now feels like sculpting. You begin to welcome discomfort because you understand its purpose. You know that every struggle is carving away weakness and shaping resilience. Transformation becomes a habit, a lifestyle, a constant pursuit of refinement. The very act of pushing yourself becomes your source of power, because you now trust the process of becoming more. And when you look back, you realize something powerful. The person you used to be no longer exists. That weaker self, the one full of hesitation and excuses, has been buried by the relentless persistence of your new identity. You did not simply improve, you reinvented. You did not simply survive, you rose. And in that rise, you proved to yourself and to the world that everything is possible when you push yourself beyond comfort, beyond fear, and beyond the boundaries you once thought defined you. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck often comes down to the strength of their vision and their willingness to pursue it with persistence. Many people have dreams, but few have the courage to protect them long enough to see them bloom. Too often, doubt, fear, or the opinions of others snatch the dream away before it even has a chance to grow roots. But those who refuse to let their vision die discover that persistence transforms imagination into reality. Vision plus relentless effort creates momentum, and momentum makes the impossible possible. Each day of effort strengthens the belief that what you hold in your mind is not just a fantasy, it is a future waiting for you to claim it. The most powerful part of vision is how it shapes your identity. When you cling to it through discipline, it becomes part of who you are. You are no longer someone hoping to achieve. You become someone destined to achieve. Every choice you make, every sacrifice, every late night, every early morning becomes aligned with that vision. And slowly your life begins to take the shape of the dream you have been carrying within you. The outside world may not notice the change immediately, but within you everything shifts. The doubts lose their power, the distractions lose their hold, and you move forward with a quiet, unstoppable certainty. This is the path of those who create legacies. They are not controlled by circumstances because their inner picture is stronger than any external storm. They are not shaken by temporary defeat because their vision whispers louder than failure. They keep walking even when the path disappears, because they know the vision will carve a new one. This level of inner conviction does not come from luck. It comes from choosing again and again to protect the flame of your dream until it becomes a wildfire that no obstacle can extinguish. That is why you must not only see the vision, you must embody it. Speak it until your words carry the weight of certainty. Walk as if it is already yours. Work as though the results are inevitable. When you live in alignment with the vision, everything around you begins to bend toward it. Opportunities appear, doors open, people are drawn to your energy, and suddenly what once seemed impossible begins to unfold before your eyes. This is the power of refusing to let go, the reward of pushing yourself until the invisible becomes visible, until the dream you carried in silence transforms into a reality that speaks louder than words. The force of vision becomes unstoppable when it merges with unshakable belief. Belief is the soil in which vision takes root, and without it, even the clearest dream withers. When you choose to believe in your vision despite doubt, despite evidence to the contrary, you give it the power to grow stronger than your fears. This belief turns hesitation into courage and failure into feedback. It turns sleepless nights into preparation and endless effort into the fuel of destiny. The more you act in alignment with this belief, the more the world reflects it back to you. Soon, your results begin to match your inner certainty, and others begin to see what you have always seen. They may call it luck, they may call it talent, but you will know it was the persistence of belief and vision working together that unlocked the doors. This is why you must never let go of your inner picture, no matter how distant it seems. Every sacrifice, every struggle, every delay is part of the process of aligning reality with your vision. The path may be long, but each step forward confirms that you are moving closer to the life you imagined. If you quit, the vision dies with you, but if you persist, the vision lives and expands until it becomes undeniable. The world eventually bends to those who refuse to compromise their dream. You must push yourself to be that person, the one who never stops, never gives in, and never allows temporary setbacks to dictate permanent results. Understand this. Every time you choose to push forward, you are rewriting your future. Every time you defend your dream, you are reshaping the boundaries of what is possible. You are proving not only to yourself, but to the world that vision, belief, and persistence are stronger than circumstance. The impossible does not fall for those who merely wish. It falls for those who push themselves relentlessly until reality is forced to surrender. This is the law of vision. If you see it, believe it, protect it, and act on it without rest, nothing in existence can keep it from manifesting. The deeper you go into this journey, the more you realize that transformation is not about gaining something new, but about uncovering what was always within you. The strength, the courage, the clarity, they were hidden beneath layers of fear, doubt, and limitation. When you pushed yourself beyond the breaking points, you stripped away those layers, and what emerged was your truest self. This is why transformation feels so powerful. It is not a mask you wear, it is your authentic nature revealed at last. And when authenticity radiates from within, it commands respect, not because you demand it, but because it is undeniable. As you stand in this new identity, life begins to mirror your transformation. The relationships around you shift, opportunities expand, and challenges that once crushed you now appear as small stepping stones. The energy you carry reshapes your environment because people respond to authenticity, strength, and clarity. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer beg, you command. And you do this not through arrogance, but through alignment. You are aligned with who you are meant to be, and that alignment makes you unstoppable. But the most profound part of ultimate transformation is the peace it brings. You no longer feel the constant inner war between who you are and who you want to be. That war ends, and in its place grows certainty, confidence, and calm. You no longer need to prove yourself, because your very existence proves everything. This is the gift of pushing yourself until everything is possible. You discover that you were not becoming someone new, you were uncovering the greatness that was always waiting within you. And once you awaken that power, no force on earth can silence it again. When you truly live by vision, belief, and persistence, something extraordinary happens. You begin to separate yourself from the ordinary patterns that keep most people trapped. You stop reacting to life as it is and start creating life as it could be. The average person allows fear, comfort, and opinion to dictate their limits, but you, by choosing to hold firmly to your vision, step into a rare space where possibility becomes limitless. Every push forward strengthens the bridge between imagination and reality until that bridge becomes so solid that others cannot deny its existence. They may have doubted you in the beginning, they may have laughed at your persistence, but eventually they stand in awe because you refused to bend when everything around you demanded that you quit. This is the truth about pushing yourself. It transforms your world by first transforming you. When you persist beyond failure, you create resilience. When you persist beyond fear, you create courage. When you persist beyond excuses, you create character. And character is the foundation on which all greatness is built. With each step, you are not just moving closer to your dream, you are becoming the person capable of carrying it. Success is not only about what you achieve, but about who you become in the process. The victories you earn are proof of the transformation that has already taken place inside you. So understand this deeply. Vision without persistence is fragile, but persistence without vision is blind. The union of the two is unstoppable. It is this union that breaks barriers, rewrites history, and proves to the world that impossible is only a word used by those who gave up too soon. Your task is simple but not easy. Hold the vision, feed the belief, and push with every ounce of persistence you possess. Do this long enough, and the day will come when everything you once imagined stands before you as undeniable reality. That is the power of pushing yourself until everything becomes possible. The transformation you reach through relentless pushing is not temporary. It is permanent because it reshapes you at the core. You no longer see the world through the same lens. Where others see limits, you see possibilities. Where others stop, you keep going. Where others see fear, you see opportunity. This shift in perception is the clearest proof that transformation has taken root. It means you are no longer a product of circumstances. You are a creator of circumstances. Life does not happen to you anymore. It responds to you. And the more you push, the more responsive life becomes, until you live in a state where progress feels natural, effortless, inevitable. Yet the most profound reward of this transformation is not external, it is internal. It is the peace that comes from knowing you have conquered yourself. You have faced your own doubts, your own excuses, your own fears, and you have defeated them. This inner victory is far greater than any recognition, wealth, or achievement, because it is unshakable. No matter what storms come, no matter what setbacks appear, you carry within you the certainty that you can endure, rise, and win again. That confidence cannot be bought, it cannot be faked. It must be earned through the fire of persistence. And once you have earned it, you realize that transformation is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new one. You begin to dream bigger, to aim higher, to embrace challenges that once terrified you. You step into a new rhythm of life where growth is no longer an option. It is your identity. You are no longer someone hoping for change. You are someone who embodies change, and from this point on, nothing remains impossible. This is the true essence of ultimate transformation. To live as proof that when you push yourself without stopping, you unlock a life where everything is within reach.